She never came home. It was the morning of May 27, 1974, when 20-year-old Barbara Forrest was reported missing in Erdington, a quiet suburb of Birmingham, England. She had spent the bank holiday weekend with her boyfriend and was due back at her job at a local children's home. But she didn't show up. She didn't call, and no one could reach her. At first, there was no panic. Barbara was sensible, kind, soft-spoken, exactly the sort of person who wouldn't want to cause worry. But as hours stretched into a full day, concern deepened into something darker. Her parents, her co-workers, her boyfriend, all knew something was wrong. A missing person report was filed. Search efforts began. The quiet little suburb was on edge. 10 days later, Barbara's body was discovered in a patch of overgrown woodland near Pipe Hayes Park, not far from her home. She had been strangled and sexually assaulted, her body partially hidden under the brush. It was a deeply disturbing crime, and one that sent ripples through the community. But then, people started remembering. Because this had happened before, in Erdington, on the same date, in almost exactly the same place. In fact, it had happened 157 years earlier, to another young woman. Her name was Mary Ashford, and she too had vanished on the morning of May 27th, in 1817. She was also 20 years old. She had also spent the previous evening at a social event, a village dance. She had also been seen walking home alone in the early morning hours. Her body was found in a flooded pit, just a short distance from where Barbara Forrest's would later be discovered. She had been strangled, her clothing had been disturbed, and it was believed she had been sexually assaulted. Two young women, both 20th, both last seen on Whit Monday, the day after Pentecost, a holiday that shifts every year, but in both cases fell on May 26th. Both were last seen alive after attending a local dance. Both vanished in the early morning hours of the 27th. Both were found murdered near Pipe Hayes Park, and both had been in the company of a man named Thornton. In 1817, Mary Ashford had left the dance with Abraham Thornton, a young bricklayer from a nearby village. They were seen walking together in the early hours. Hours later, her body was discovered. Abraham was arrested, tried, and acquitted. The case stirred enormous public outrage, so much so that when the family demanded a retrial, he invoked an ancient law, trial by combat, one of the last in British history. He offered to fight for his innocence, but no one challenged him, and the case was dropped. He left the area and faded into history. In 1974, Barbara Forrest was dating Michael Thornton, a fellow worker at the children's home where she was employed. He lived near the site where her body was found. He was questioned, arrested. But in the absence of physical evidence, he too was released, and just like Abraham, he would never be charged again. For those who lived in Erdington, the similarities were beyond chilling. Two women, same age, same holiday, same date, same fate, same woods, same last name of the man in question, and both murders remain unsolved. Some dismiss the whole thing as a disturbing coincidence, nothing more than chance layered with meaning after the fact. But the statistical odds are staggering. Others believe the Barbara Forrest case may have been a copycat, though few can explain how anyone in 1974 would even have known the exact details of Mary Ashford's long-forgotten murder. There are those who say Erdington is simply cursed. That Whit Monday, a day meant for renewal and reflection, holds something darker in this part of the world, something that loops through time, leaving the same wound open again and again. And others believe the two women, Mary and Barbara, may somehow be connected across the centuries. That trauma echoes, that history repeats, and that justice, when denied, never truly rests. Whatever you believe, the fact remains. Two young women were murdered 157 years apart, under circumstances so precise and haunting they defy reason. And both times, the law let them down. Thank you for listening to The Lantern's Tale. Subscribe for more true stories, if you dare.